The crowd buzzed with anticipation as Gennady Golovkin made his walk to the ring, his expression as calm and focused as ever. The Kazakh powerhouse, feared for his relentless pressure and devastating power, was set to take on the slick southpaw. From the United States, Willie Monroe Jr. Головкин was all business. No theatrics, no wasted movements. His body language said everything. He was there to dismantle another man in the most calculated way possible. Monroe, confident and composed, had the kind of footwork and speed that had troubled opponents in the past. But tonight he wasn't, just up against another fighter. He was standing across from a human wrecking ball with an undefeated record and a reputation for delivering pain in clinical doses. The first bell echoed through the arena, and the fight was underway. Right from the jump, Головкин pressed forward, cutting off the ring with chilling efficiency. He didn't throw wild punches. He didn't need to. He just walked Monroe down, jab by jab, step by step. Every movement was purposeful. It wasn't reckless aggression. It was silent, strategic suffocation. Monroe moved with intent, trying to stay outside Golovkin's range, flicking out his right jab and looking to land with sneaky counters. But Golovkin absorbed the data like a machine, reading Monroe's angles and timing with each passing second. Midway through the first round, Golovkin landed a jab that popped Monroe's head back like a bobblehead. Then came the first real warning. Shot. A thudding right hook to the body that echoed off Monroe's ribs. It didn't drop him, but it stole a bit of his rhythm. Monroe continued circling, moving with urgency now. But Golovkin wasn't chasing. He was waiting. And when Monroe paused for a split second too long, Triple G uncorked a left hook upstairs that turned the atmosphere electric. Monroe stayed on his feet, but his eyes showed the damage. The round ended with Golovkin walking calmly back to his corner while Monroe breathed heavily, already feeling the difference in power. As round 2 began, Golovkin came out with the same calm demeanor, but now he was throwing with a little more intent. He knew Monroe had felt the power, and now it was time to build on that pressure. He cut off the ring like a veteran who had practiced this hundreds of times. There was nowhere for Monroe to hide. He tried to trade on the inside, firing quick combinations in an attempt to slow the Kazakh's momentum. But Golovkin just walked through them. And then, out of nowhere, Golovkin landed a clean left hook that dropped Monroe hard to the canvas. The crowd exploded. Monroe hit the mat and looked up, trying to process what had just happened. He beat the count, but the writing was on the wall. Golovkin smiled, the kind of eerie smile that sends chills down the spines of even the most seasoned observers. It wasn't cocky. It was cold. He knew the end was coming, and he was enjoying the process. He stalked Monroe with increasing intensity. Another combination. Another devastating hook. Monroe went down again, legs buckling under the pressure, head spinning from the relentless punishment. But to his credit, Monroe rose again, showing heart that couldn't be questioned. By the time round 3 began, the mood in the arena had shifted. The crowd wasn't just watching a fight. They were watching a performance, a showcase of brutality and elegance fused into one man's gloves. And sitting ringside, Eddie Murphy was seen leaning back with his signature wide-eyed expression, half laughing, half in disbelief, the kind of reaction only Golovkin's fights could evoke. Monroe came out trying to regain control, pumping his jabs, circling wide. He even landed a few quick punches, combinations that touched Golovkin's chin. But Triple G barely blinked. He kept coming, a smiling nightmare whose gloves carried bombs. Monroe tried to use his speed to escape, darting in and out with sharp footwork, but Golovkin was never far behind. Then it happened again. A crisp right hand from Golovkin sent Monroe stumbling. The Kazakh closed the distance like a predator, sensing the kill. Left hook, right uppercut, another punishing shot to the ribs. Monroe's legs gave way and he dropped for a third time. This time he looked up at the referee with empty eyes. The ref gave him the count, but the damage was visible. Monroe struggled to his feet, barely able to steady himself. The referee gave him every chance, but Monroe's body was betraying him. He wobbled forward, gloves raised more out of instinct than awareness. The ref took one look. then waved it off. The crowd erupted again. The official result: a technical knockout victory for Gennady Golovkin, another step in the path of destruction left behind by the Kazakh superstar. The cameras panned to Eddie Murphy, who stood clapping, laughing, and shaking his head in awe. It was a reaction shared by thousands in attendance and millions watching around the world. Головкин had done it again. Another opponent dismantled, another highlight reel finish, another chilling reminder that when Головкин fights, there's a very real chance that the ring becomes a crime scene. In the post-fight interview, Головкин kept things humble. He praised Monroe's heart and willingness to stand and fight. He acknowledged the shots he absorbed, but emphasized that his plan never changed. He just wore him down, waited for the moment, then closed the show. That's what makes Головкин so terrifying. His fights are never random. Every move is intentional. Every punch is part of a plan. He doesn't chase knockouts. He builds them, piece by piece, until the opponent has no choice but to fall. For Monroe, the fight was a tough lesson in levels. He came in prepared, confident, and skilled. But Головкин operates in a different dimension. Power, timing, pressure. It's not just that he hits hard. It's that he breaks you down methodically. You can run for a while. You can even fire back and land. But eventually the walls close in. The escape routes disappear. And then it's just you and that granite chin, those concrete fists, and that unrelenting pressure. Tonight was no different. Головкин once again showed why he's one of the most feared middleweights in the history of the sport. Monroe was brave. He stood in the fire. But the fire didn't flicker. It roared. And when it was over, all that remained was smoke, cheers, and the stunned laughter of Eddie Murphy watching from the front row like he'd just witnessed something surreal. It's rare in boxing to see someone combine that kind of raw power with composure. But Головкин does it seamlessly. He doesn't scream. He doesn't taunt. He smiles. And then he knocks you out. That combination of poise and punishment is what separates him. It's what makes fans show up. It's what makes celebrities lose their minds in real time. With another victory secured, Головкин walked calmly back to the dressing room, his expression unchanged. Another day's work done. Another name added to his record. And as the lights dimmed and the crowd filed out, the conversation wasn't about what happened. It was about how Головкин keeps doing it, again and again. Because every time you think you've seen it all, he finds another way to remind you that he's not just a fighter. He's a force. And tonight Willie Monroe Jr. found that out the hard way.